Beloved, this is not a normal mourn. He mourned when Saul and Jonathan died. He mourned when the king Hakash died. He mourned when Abner died. But this morning is different. This morning is because he's mourning over his own sin. You've never experienced mourning until you had to look your child in the face and see the reason why they're hurting is because of you. So David, he's mourning and he realizes the reality of his consequences. But it says he besought God. He searched for God. He fell on his face. And I wonder, have you ever had a moment like that when all you could do was just stop and seek God's face? Have you ever had a moment where I can't eat, I can't sleep, I don't even want to answer my phone? Have you ever had a moment where all you can do is search God out? Text says he searches for him. He's depressed, he's anxious, he's struggling with it in his own mind because it's the sin that I did that caused my child to be sick. Have you ever had a moment like that? Where you don't even want to answer a text from your boo. Where you deactivate Facebook and Instagram because you just can't deal with the noise. Because of your sin. But the text tells us, I got to shout right here because the text tells us in the midst of David mourning, in the midst of him laying down with his face to the ground, there's some folk that come in the room. The text tells us that the elders come into the house and they try to get David up. They try to cause David to eat, but David still won't eat. The reason why I got to stop is because I got to thank God for the folk that when I was depressed, they came in my room. I got to thank God for the folk that when I didn't want to get out the bed, somebody came in and said, baby, get your tail up, wash yourself, and get back to work. I got to thank God for the folk that when I was ready to give up on life, somebody said, you are worth it. You are enough. You are somebody. And I believe there's more than me in the room that need to thank God for the folk that stood up for you, that need to thank God for the folk that helped you get out of your depression and your anxiety. Texas says he still didn't want to get up. What do? When you come to church, you heard the songs, but you still got to hold your head down. What do? You heard a message that pierced you to your heart, but when you get to the car, the tears still fall. What do? When you've done everything you know to do, you fasted, you prayed, you came to church, but the pain still lingers. You still see that dead body sitting by you. You still feel what it feels like to sit in divorce court when you gave him everything. The text says David still didn't want to eat. But I want to tell you, in the midst of him still not eating, David still sought God. And I want to tell you today, if you're going to get up and get back to work, you got to seek God even when it don't feel good. You got to show up to church even when you don't want to. You got to learn how to worship through the pain. Because David knew the reality of what he did. He knew that what he did was wrong and that all he needs is God's mercy. I wonder, have you ever had a moment where you just know I just need God's mercy? When was the last time you admitted what you did and you asked God for mercy? The problem with many of us, the reason why we can't get up and wash ourselves and get back to work is because you ain't admitted what you did. He admitted it. He still had hope. And we got to get to the point where we say, Lord, I'm standing in the need of prayer. You got to get to the point where you say, I ain't coming for mama, I'm not coming for daddy, I'm coming to church just for me. I don't care if my spouse comes, I don't care if my kids come, I'm going to show up anyway. Yeah, the reason you wonder why our communities are still so bad is because we ain't admitted the stuff we did to ourselves. How many of us are still fighting over 40 acres and a mule, but we won't take care of the 1 acre that we got? We get mad and want stuff from white folk when if we'll take care of our own stuff, maybe we can have more stuff. You got to get to the point where you